So picture this. You're sitting on your couch,
Hmm.
right, just staring at the glow of your phone screen.
Oh, I know the scene. We all know the scene.
Yeah, exactly. A text just came through from that person you recently started seeing. And, like, you have been waiting for this exact notification all day long.
You've practically willed it into existence.
Right. You really like them. And
Yeah.
you've got the absolute perfect, you know, charmingly witty response already drafted in your brain. Your thumb is literally hovering right over the send button. But instead of tapping it,
You lock the screen.
you lock the screen, you put the phone face down on the coffee table, and you set like a mental timer for exactly 4 hours. Because you tell yourself, well, I can't seem too eager, right? I have to maintain this aura of mystery.
It is honestly the most universal modern reflex. I mean, we have all participated in that exact standoff, or at least, felt that overwhelming gravitational pull to do it.
We really have. But here's the tragic irony of that exact moment.
Yeah.
You sit there thinking you're creating this sweeping cinematic romantic tension, like you think you're James Bond.
Yeah, but you're really not.
No. In reality, you've accidentally just created the world's least romantic customer support delay. I mean, you're not building a passionate romance. You're just mimicking the local cable company, making someone wait in a digital queue.
Wow, that paints a painfully accurate picture. It perfectly captures the trap that so many of us fall into when we're navigating that incredibly vulnerable terrain of early attraction.
We just use those delays, right?
Yeah.
Like manufactured distance as a shield.
We do. We absolutely do.
Which actually brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive into Modern Connection Lab. Today, we are exploring the hidden mechanics of dating dynamics. Specifically, we're looking at why acting unavailable, playing hard to get, almost universally backfires.
Because it creates confusion instead of genuine attraction.
Exactly. And even better, we are going to lay out exactly how you can date with absolute confidence and clarity without sacrificing your self-respect or, frankly, resorting to these psychological games.
Which is an entirely transformative shift in perspective. I mean, people cling to these games because they believe dropping the act means losing the magic, or worse, losing their leverage.
Right. They think they're giving up their power.
Exactly. But the reality is that abandoning the performance is, well, it's the only way to actually make room for a real, sustainable connection.
So let's start with that 4-hour timer on the coffee table.
Yeah.
The entire reason we do that is based on this deeply ingrained cultural conditioning, right? That pulling away creates desire. We are taught that scarcity equals value.
Yeah, the idea that if you're less available, your attention becomes a premium commodity.
Exactly. But when we actually look at the psychology behind human attachment, that strategy fundamentally misinterprets how the brain works.
It completely misinterprets it. The core illusion of playing hard to get is that it basically confuses attention with attraction.
Oh, attention and attraction.
Right. Those are entirely different psychological states, and they're processed in totally different ways by our nervous system.
That distinction feels massive. I mean, people just assume if someone is heavily focused on them, it must mean they really like them.
Well, think about the physical sensation of attention in the context of someone withholding it from you. Attention, in that scenario, is a highly anxious state. It's an unresolved cognitive loop.
Like your brain is just spinning.
Yes, you're asking, why aren't they responding? Did I say something wrong? Are they suddenly losing interest? Your entire mental bandwidth is hijacked by trying to solve a puzzle. The focus isn't on how wonderful the other person is.
It's on alleviating your own anxiety. You're just trying to get back to baseline.
Exactly. You just want the spike in cortisol to drop. Attraction, on the other hand, operates on a completely different emotional frequency. Attraction is grounded.
So what does that actually feel like compared to the panic?
It sounds like, I really enjoy who this person is, they make me feel secure, and I actively want to get to know them more.
Okay, meaning when I wait 4 hours to text back, I am definitely commanding their attention. But solely because I've effectively confused them and stressed them out.
Right. Confusion is an incredibly potent tool for grabbing human attention. I mean, our brains are evolutionary problem-solving machines. We hate unresolved loops.
You have to close the tab.
Yeah. But confusion does not reliably create trust. It doesn't foster a sense of emotional safety. And it absolutely does not generate genuine rooted desire. You're hijacking their threat detection system, not winning their heart.
This instantly reminds me of, like, the most classic foundational piece of dating advice everyone receives at some point. You have to make them chase you.
Oh, yes, the chase.
Right. The whole framework implies that if you run, their pursuit is proof of their passion.
But I was thinking about this dynamic earlier, and I came up with an analogy.
Okay, let's hear it.
If I'm walking down the street, right, and someone snatches my phone out of my hand and just takes off running, I am going to chase them.
Of course you are. I will sprint after them with everything I have, but I'm chasing them because I am absolutely terrified of losing something valuable. I am in a state of pure panic. I am certainly not sprinting down the block because I have suddenly fallen deeply in love with the person running away with my property.
That is perfect.
I just feel like we are constantly confusing panic with passion in early dating.
That analogy hits the nail directly on the head. You are engineering a scenario driven entirely by panic and deprivation. Look at the psychological drivers of a manufactured chase.
What's really fueling it?
It is almost always driven by ego preservation, the fear of losing an investment, a competitive instinct to just win the game, or a desperate need for closure.
Wow. Notice how none of those are about actually liking the person.
Exactly. None of those drivers require the other person to actually value you as a complex human being.
Yeah.
They just want the phone back, so to speak.
It's anxiety wearing a trench coat, masquerading as chemistry.
Yeah, that's spot on. Genuine desire looks nothing like a chaotic foot race. It's mutual momentum. It is two people saying, I enjoy this connection. This person is consistent enough for me to trust, and I want to walk alongside them.
Alongside them, not behind them.
Right. Ultimately, the goal of a healthy dynamic isn't to be chased. The goal is to be chosen freely, clearly, and by someone who is actively showing up for you rather than just reacting to your sudden absence.
So if the chase is so fundamentally destructive and it clearly breeds this toxic level of anxiety, we really have to ask why it remains so incredibly tempting. Because let's be real, in those vulnerable early stages of getting to know someone, it feels almost impossible not to reach for those tactics.
It is tempting because it serves as an incredibly effective, albeit short-sighted, defense mechanism.
Okay, break that down for me. What are the motives here?
There are 4 very specific psychological motives at play. The most powerful one is ego protection. Early dating requires massive vulnerability. If you act aloof, if you pretend you don't care that much, well, you build a fortress.
Right, so if things go south, you're insulated.
Exactly. If the connection fades or you get rejected, your ego is safe. You can easily rationalize it by telling yourself, well, I wasn't really trying anyway.
It's the emotional equivalent of wearing armor to a first date. But the tragic flaw in that strategy is that the other person might actually believe your performance. Like they see you acting completely indifferent, they assume you aren't interested, and they just walk away to find someone who is.
You manifest the exact rejection you were trying to avoid.
Ouch. That's a brutal irony. What's the second motive?
The illusion of control. Human beings have a notoriously low tolerance for uncertainty, and early dating is nothing but uncertainty.
You're totally flying blind, you don't know where you stand or their history.
Right. So by timing your replies, or strategically doling out warmth-like rations, you give yourself a lever to pull. It creates a manufactured sense of control over an unpredictable situation.
But control is not connection. I mean, managing someone's perception of you through a highly curated release of text messages isn't intimacy, it's just PR.
A fantastic way to put it. You're doing their PR. And then the third motive is the addictive nature of that short-term attention we discussed. When you pull away, you usually get a sudden burst of panicked interest from the other person.
Which gives you a little hit of dopamine.
Exactly. That feels validating in the moment. You get a rush from their sudden effort. But chasing ambiguity in a moment of panic never translates into long-term commitment.
And the fourth motive?
Many people lean into these games because it perfectly mimics the excitement, and I'm using air quotes here, the excitement of unstable dynamics they grew up with or experienced in past toxic relationships.
Oh, that is a massive point.
Yeah.
If someone has a history where love was always conditional or attention was wildly inconsistent, a calm, secure connection might actually feel boring to them.
They've been wired to believe that if they aren't anxious, it isn't real chemistry.
They mistake the roller coaster for the theme park.
They absolutely do. They equate emotional turbulence with passion, but intensity derived from a lack of safety is a trauma response, not intimacy.
I see this playing out constantly. It's like people are performing in this elaborate production that we could just call hard-to-get theater.
Oh, I like that. Hard to get theater.
Yeah. People put on these exaggerated performances thinking it makes them highly desirable, but they're completely blind to how it actually lands with a healthy person.
Let's run through some scenes from this theater.
Okay, let's do it. Scene 1. The 17-hour delay. So someone receives a simple text asking how their day was. Instead of just answering, they force themselves to wait until the next afternoon, because a dating guru said to never seem available. In their head, They are projecting high value.
But look at the reality of how a secure person processes that 17-hour silence. A secure individual doesn't sit around obsessing, interpreting the silence as proof of your elite social status.
Right, they aren't impressed.
No, they simply register the friction. They assume you are either wildly disorganized, completely uninterested, or playing a game. So they just make other plans, they divest their energy, and move on.
So the tactic literally filters out the healthy partners
Yeah,
and only hooks the anxious ones.
precisely.
Okay, scene 2. The vague non-commitment. Someone gets asked out for a Friday night. They have zero plans, their calendar is entirely empty, but to sound highly sought after, they reply with, "Oh, my week is super crazy, maybe I'm free sometime. We'll see."
That tactic traps the other person in an emotional fog. They have no actionable information. I mean, does maybe mean yes? Does it mean no? Are you keeping them on the back burner in case a better offer falls through?
It isn't mysterious or alluring at all.
No, it's just socially exhausting.
All right, scene 3. And this is the worst offense in my opinion.
Yeah.
The jealousy bait. You're on a date, things are actually flowing well, but someone feels the need to secure their power position. So they casually name drop another date they went on earlier that week. It's pure strategy to prove they're a hot commodity.
But the result is always a total backfire. The other person doesn't feel challenged to win the competition. They just feel instantly alienated. The warmth evaporates.
Because you just made it weird.
Because you've signaled that the environment isn't safe. You've introduced a phantom rival to manipulate their feelings. A healthy person doesn't compete for basic respect. They just opt out of the dynamic entirely.
This all naturally forces a major question, which is where I think most people get completely tripped up.
What's the question?
Well, if I am retiring from the theater and dropping the games, what is the alternative? People are terrified that the opposite of hard to get is becoming completely overwhelmingly available. They think, if I don't wait 4 hours, do I have to text back in 3 seconds every single time? Do I just become a doormat with zero boundaries?
That black and white thinking keeps people trapped. It is not a binary switch between being an ice queen and being a doormat. We have to look at this through the lens of an availability spectrum.
Okay, the availability spectrum. On one extreme end of that spectrum, you obviously have two unavailable. That's the 17-hour wait, the vague non-answers, the emotional withholding.
Right, treating connection like a poker game.
And on the complete opposite end,
You have two, available, which is equally destructive to a budding relationship. This happens when you start actively canceling your own pre-existing life for someone you just met. You double and triple text when they don't reply.
you basically abandon your own boundaries.
Yes, you drop your hobbies, and you accept whatever breadcrumbs of attention they toss your way just to keep the connection alive. It screams of desperation and a lack of internal center.
So both extremes are actually rooted in insecurity. One hides behind a wall, and the other abandons the self entirely. The healthy alternative has to live in the middle.
The middle is what we call attractive availability. Attractive availability means you show very clear, unambiguous interest, but you maintain your actual life and you enforce a calm, natural pacing.
So how do you actually do that?
To master this, you have to understand the profound difference between real availability limits and strategic unavailability.
Oh, let's pull that apart, because distinguishing between the two is everything. Real availability limits are just the natural boundaries of a functioning adult life. Like, you have a demanding job. You have friendships that require maintenance. You go to the gym, you need 8 hours of sleep.
Exactly. You do not reply instantly because you are physically engaged in the real world.
You don't reorganize your entire Tuesday schedule to accommodate a last-minute drink with a stranger. That kind of boundary is inherently attractive because it proves you have a life worth living.
Exactly. Strategic unavailability, however, is purely a script. It is sitting on your couch, staring at the ceiling, actively pretending to be busy when you aren't.
Setting the 4-hour timer.
Setting the timer. It's projecting a colder emotional state than you actually feel. Real availability protects your time. Strategic unavailability manipulates their perception.
So the roadmap for navigating this gracefully comes down to a 3-part framework, right? Clear, calm, and boundaried.
Let's walk through those. First is clear.
And the most liberating realization here is that clear does not mean intense. Clarity just means your interest is legible. I don't need a cryptographic decoder ring to figure out if you actually enjoyed our date. You can simply say, I am really enjoying getting to know you.
Clarity is the ultimate antidote to dating anxiety. The second pillar is calm. Calm dictates the pacing. It means removing the forced, artificial urgency.
So you aren't trying to lock down a commitment by date 2.
Right, and you aren't administering high-stakes loyalty tests over text. Calm sounds like no pressure at all, but I'd love to grab coffee this week. Let's look at our schedules and find a time that genuinely works for both of us.
You aren't treating the connection like a ticking time bomb, which leads to the third pillar. Boundaried. This is the safety net.
Yes.
Being boundaried means you are willing to show clear interest, but you are equally willing to stop investing if that energy is not reciprocated. You refuse to overfunction to keep a one-sided dynamic on life support.
Boundaries are the crucial mechanism that prevents your clear interest from morphing into a desperate chase. You extend the invitation, but you don't drag them across the finish line.
I see the logic here. Clear, calm, boundaried. It is incredibly mature. But frankly, part of me recoils a little bit.
Why is that?
Because if I am entirely clear and completely calm and setting healthy boundaries, doesn't that sanitize the whole experience? Don't I run the risk of completely killing the mystery? I mean, the early spark usually thrives on a little bit of the unknown.
That is universally the biggest fear people harbor when asked to drop the games. They equate anxiety with mystery. But that stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of what mystery actually is. We need to sharply differentiate between authentic mystery and toxic mixed signals.
Okay, think about what actual healthy mystery looks like. Healthy mystery is maintaining your own rich inner life. It's choosing not to trauma dump your entire childhood history on a first date.
Letting things breathe.
Right. It is allowing your personality, your quirks, and your deeper self to unfold naturally over months, rather than rushing to bare your soul in 3 hours. That leaves a lot of beautiful, organic curiosity alive.
Contrast that with mixed signals. Mixed signals are showering someone with intense affection on Tuesday and acting completely cold and aloof on Wednesday just to destabilize them.
Or saying you desperately want to see them, but dodging every single specific attempt to put a date on the calendar.
That isn't mystery. That is deploying confusion as an offensive strategy.
There's a brilliant framing for this. Mystery is what naturally remains when you are a fully realized person with a vibrant life. Mixed signals are what happen when you have to manufacture intrigue because you lack depth.
That is perfectly stated.
Mystery is a byproduct of boundaries. Mixed signals are a tactic of control.
That distinction changes how you approach every interaction. So let's take this attractive availability framework out of the conceptual realm and apply it directly to the supercomputer sitting in everyone's pocket.
Yes, let's look at how this changes the way we actually text, day to day. We can build a sort of confident sentence bank for real-world scenarios.
Let's do it.
Take reply timing, for example. We've established that the game-playing move is waiting until 11 p.m. to respond to a 2 p.m. text so you look like a CEO.
The attractive availability upgrade is just natural rhythm. If you're slammed at work, reply later. If you happen to be holding your phone, reply now. But give context.
Give context, right?
A confident text says, "Today got a little chaotic, but yes, I am still laughing at your take on that movie." It explains the gap naturally while keeping the interpersonal warmth completely intact.
Okay, what about the anxiety around making plans? The typical evasive move is the non-committal, let's hang out sometime.
The confident attractive upgrade is directness. I'd really enjoy that. I'm actually free this Friday evening or Sunday afternoon if either of those work for your schedule.
It demonstrates clear interest.
Right. Offers actionable availability and completely eliminates the need for them to chase you down for details.
Or the vulnerable period right after a really good first date. You really like them, but you don't want to show your hand too early and lose leverage. So the old habit is sending a detached, too cool for school text like, yeah, tonight was fun.
The upgrade is allowing your genuine warmth to stand on its own 2 feet. You text, "I had a really great time tonight. You are incredibly easy to talk to, and I'd definitely be up for doing it again."
It's confident, it's warm, and it leaves the ball in their court without being overbearing.
Now, what about when you are legitimately swamped? The game is faking busyness to look important, but sometimes life actually happens.
So what's the confident move?
It's communicating a boundary without creating a void. This week is absolutely packed with deadlines, but I definitely still want to see you. How does next Tuesday look for you?
So you affirm the connection while maintaining the boundary of your real-world obligations? Now, the hardest scenario to navigate is when you feel the urge to test if they actually care. The default toxic move is pulling away, going totally silent, and waiting in agony to see if they will double text or chase you to prove their devotion.
That behavior is incredibly destructive to trust. The attractive availability upgrade is addressing the friction calmly without retreating.
How do you word that?
You say, I've been really enjoying getting to know you, but I generally do better with clearer plans.
Sure.
Are you still interested in getting together this week?
You are asking for the clarity you need without manufacturing a high-stakes behavioral test.
It ultimately comes down to one brilliant, foolproof litmus test. You just ask yourself, would I date this energy?
Oh, wow. Would I date this energy?
If you were on the receiving end of your own communication strategy, how would it make you feel? If someone treated you the way you are currently treating them, would you feel secure and desired, or would you feel dismissed, confused, and anxious?
If your own behavior would trigger your anxiety, you have no business deploying it against someone else.
It is the golden rule adapted for modern digital romance. Empathy has to guide the strategy.
Let's do a quick rapid-fire sweep of the specific tactical mistakes that need to be permanently retired. If any of these are in your current rotation, it's time to delete them.
Ready?
Stop with the strategic reply delays. Stop pretending to be busier than you are. Absolutely banish the jealousy bait. Mentioning other dates to provoke a reaction is incredibly transparent and deeply off-putting.
Drop the pull-away tests to gauge their loyalty. Stop using vague maybes to keep people perpetually on the hook. Eradicate the hot and cold routine where you weaponize affection to train their behavior.
And crucially, remember that dropping the games doesn't mean overcorrecting into boundaryless neediness. We are aiming for the middle path. Let go of the tired gender stereotypes that claim men only value what they hunt and completely discard any remnants of manipulative pickup artist tactics.
All of those behaviors are rooted in fear. Attractive availability is rooted in self-respect.
It fundamentally rewires how you experience dating. So before we wrap up this deep dive, let's distill this entire journey down to a clear 5-point recap.
Point 1. Playing hard to get is a flawed strategy because it relies on confusing, anxious, problem-solving attention with genuine, grounded attraction.
Point 2. There is a massive psychological difference between real availability, which is protected by healthy life boundaries, and strategic unavailability, which is just a manipulative performance.
Point 3. Whenever you feel lost in the ambiguity of early dating, fall back on the master framework. Be clear in expressing your interest, calm in your pacing, and boundaried in your self-respect.
Point 4. Do not mistake toxic mixed signals for romance. True mystery is what naturally unfolds when you're a complex person with a full life. Mixed signals are just weaponized confusion.
And point 5. Attractive availability is the sweet spot. It simply means showing your interest clearly without ever abandoning your own life, your standards, or your peace of mind to do it.
As we bring this deep dive in for a landing, we have a challenge for you, a final thought to really chew on. We've spent a lot of time exposing the hidden mechanics of these games, but we want you to turn the lens inward. Be brutally honest with yourself. Which dating game is the absolute hardest for you to stop playing?
We've narrowed it down to 5 specific traps. Listen closely to these.
Is it number 1, waiting strategically to text back?
Number 2, acting substantially less interested than you actually are.
Number 3, being intentionally vague about your schedule or plans?
Number 4, testing them by pulling away to see if they will chase you.
Or number 5, pretending to be far busier than you actually are?
It requires a high degree of self-awareness to admit to any of these. Identifying your default defense mechanism is the very first step toward dismantling it.
Exactly. Figure out which number represents your go-to move. If you are watching or listening on a platform where you can comment, we want you to drop your number below. We'd love to see which of these traps is the most universal.
Seeing that other people struggle with the exact same reflexes can be incredibly validating.
And if you found today's breakdown illuminating, you are going to want to stick around for what's next. Next time on the Deep Dive in episode 09, we are taking on the absolute ultimate modern communication dilemma: how to know when to stop texting.
That is a line everyone struggles to draw.
We're going to break down exactly how to distinguish between giving a slow-starting conversation a fair, genuine chance to bloom. A chance to bloom, and painfully dragging out a thread that has already gone completely cold. It's going to save you so much mental energy.
It's going to be a highly practical discussion.
Until then, keep this in mind. The very next time you find yourself staring at a text message and you feel that familiar urge to lock the screen and set a 4-hour timer, do yourself a massive favor. Shut down the customer support desk. Drop the James Bond routine. Just be a clear, calm human being. See you next time.